Welcome to my channel. This is Anais. Thank you for stopping by. This reading may not resonate for everyone. If it resonates for you, great. If it does not, just allow yourself to move on and don't try to fit what is showing up in these cards into your particular frame. We're all on a very individual journey when it comes to sacred union, and you have to really trust your own intuition and instincts about what's a fit for you and what isn't. So, just one more caveat. I don't generally read traditional tarot. I'm an intuitive reader, and the cards and I have a relationship where I just get to do however I feel in terms of the layouts and what the cards have to say and which cards I use. I do absolutely shuffle thoroughly and cut and shuffle again before I deal out the cards and let them come from just generally that, you know, each one comes from the top of the pile. So this is a reading for the Divine Feminine, and this is a prelude to the lunar eclipse in Capricorn, July 16th of 2019. Now, I'm not an astrologer. I don't pay a lot of attention to either new moon or full moon. I do consider myself in alignment with Source. I have had validation of this for many, many years. In alignment with Source and in alignment with Gaia and her co-creative elementals, whom we get to play with when we become conscious co-creators, which for me is what the sacred union journey is about. How does our inner masculine and inner feminine come into union within us in balance and harmony and unity, self-acceptance and self-love? And then in that process, we are then ready to be in union with Source and with all of co-creation. And it's becoming more and more complex and more intense, and for me more fun and more pleasurable as the journey goes on. I've been involved in the sacred union journey since 1996, and more recently in 2016 that experience really amped up for me in ways that you can find more about on my blog, which is source.life/solutions, and that information is in the description. So all that having been said, please like, share, and I would love your comments, and do subscribe if the reading resonates for you and you appreciate the creativity that the cards and I have come into a relationship with. So this is a funny story. I was just shuffling just to prepare after a reading I had done the day before yesterday, and I was just, as I do, kind of maintenance free, just shuffling, no particular thing on my mind. And as I was shuffling, I did have the question. I was really curious, and that's what I said. I said, I'm really curious about what's happening for the Divine Feminine in the union right now, because I had felt a shift in the energy based on a lot of information that I get at any point during the day, which is just the way that I translate energy. I'm in touch with energy all the time, and what I see, what I'm doing in being in the ascension journey is I'm simply allowing myself to ride these waves of energy and information and consciousness, and then translate them as best I can into language that we may be mostly familiar with, but I also am constantly introducing new language into the collective and have done that for more than 30 years. So let's see, were phrases like core essence, and I even, many years ago, was the first one to teach the method, the energy method, not of cord cutting, but cord dissolving, to work on the issues of codependencies with people who had very toxic relationships and were having difficulty getting themselves in a position of sovereignty because of energy cords. So I do still teach that technique. I do not teach cord cutting. I do not engage in chakra removal processes, but I do create environments in which people can experience that organically. All right, having said all of that, let's get into the reading. Now, here's the funny part. I have this sweet little deck, this very sweet little deck, Tarot of the World, and I use it for very specific purposes, and I don't use it all that often. If you've watched my readings, you will have observed that. And so I think this little deck was feeling a bit left out of the party, because as I was shuffling it, twice, two complete clumps of cards came out in exact order. So I felt that the energies that were working with me had gotten a little frustrated at being left out of the fun. So here's what we had first out, the World Tarot. We have, we have Judgment. We have the Ace of Pentacles. We have the Princess of Wands. We have the Six of Wands. We have the Ten of Pentacles. And we have Temperance. So those for me are indicative of a journey of inner union for sure, and perhaps possibly more. Well, I thought that was really funny, and I just laughed and I said, thank you, that's really sweet. And then I just kept on shuffling. And then another clump of cards fell out in this exact order. The Star, the Knight of Chalices or Cups, the Six of Cups, the World, and then the King of Chalices. So again, I just laughed and I thanked the cards. I said I thought that was really funny, and it looked to me like we had the basis for a reading. And so after I had finished reshuffling all of my cards and, you know, held them in neutrality and essentially just stacked them up on my work table here, ready to put away until I was going to do another reading just decided to unfold. So what was up on the bottom of the deck of the Tarot of the World here is the Emperor. So we have quite an exciting core for reading here, and then as I was listening, it was like, oh, this is for the Divine Feminine. And I haven't done that much for just the Divine Feminine. I've done a couple of reads because I tend to do readings for the Divine Masculine and the Divine Feminine as they're surfing the waves of sacred union together. So with this King of Wands out, next I took out my good tarot deck and shuffled. And what came out was this, that this reading was going to be a message from the King of Wands, and it was going to be a message of fire. As we're coming into the lunar eclipse, and it's all about feelings, and we may find ourselves in deep emotional releases, the King of Wands was here to say, stay in balance. Don't get so watery that you put out your fire of authenticity and sovereignty. Okay. So then I just took 4 more cards, just like, oh, this is about this is about the Divine Feminine. What else do we have coming out here in this information? Next was the Queen of Fire. And the message here was, as we're coming into the eclipse, the Divine Feminine has done so much inner work and outer recognition of the key themes of being in sacred union. And I've included a link to our Meeting the Beloved in Sacred Union, the second episode, to talk about what it is exactly we are doing and how we are moving through the transition of sacred union, the transition into 5D consciousness, the transition out of three-dimensional limited consciousness, the journeys that happen, what can happen to our bodies, purging, soul groups, soul shrinkers, all of that information we're putting together in our longer chats. So there's a link below to that, and you can access that on my Patreon page. So here comes the Queen of Fire. She's to hold her fire in more ways than one, as emotions may be running high over the next week. The core message is one of transformation. And again, this is about letting go and burning off and transmuting anything Divine Feminine that you are aware of that could be blocking your union. That could be a person, a place, a thing. It could just be energy, but at this point we should be feeling pretty much aware in all of our energy bodies and our physical bodies if there is a, what I call a resistance flare. And if so, it's important to go into meditation and ask your inner higher meta being what your resistance flare is all about. It could be about a change in your diet for a few days. I recently had company, and I was, because I was being considerate of my company, I went pretty much completely off of my high frequency diet for about 9 days. And I'm really feeling that, and now I'm coming back, but it's when we come out of the 5D frequency and we allow ourselves to shift our bandwidth to back to 3D. If you've been in 5D for a while, and I've been there since 2016, it's painful. And you have to sort of purge all over again. It was all right because my friend and I were doing some beautiful deep work together, and I was willing to, when in Rome, do as the Romans do, and help him enjoy the sort of Midwestern diet that he grew up with, and that was a bit heavy for me. So we're transforming these things, and we're aware, Divine Feminine. We're also aware when and how we can hold our boundaries. There were times during the visit with my friend where I would just say, I need to have cereal for breakfast. And he was fine with that. So these are the kinds of adjustments that we're making for ourselves. Okay, now then after transformation we have the High Priestess, and this for me represents the card of being in a state of direct relationship with Source and with Gaia and with her elementals and with your soul group. We have all become so finely tuned that we have divine conversations with these aspects of ourselves and of creation all the time, whenever they're needed. Whenever we have a question, we can ask and get an answer. We may have to wait a little bit. We may have to let go of control in order for the answer to come. And the answer is part of the receiving of the answer is part of the cycle of conscious co-creation. So the High Priestess came out for us, Divine Feminine, and this is you. You know that you have all your clairs are working and you're in telepathic communication with your divine counterpart, or not. You know whether you are or not. And you know the experience of them coming and going depending on your vibration and your frequency and where they are tuned into you and at what level of energy they're tuned into you. Then lastly, we had the Empress come out. So we have a pair. We have the Divine Union. We have both the Emperor and the Empress out for this reading. So I really would like to encourage you, Divine Feminine, And for, cross watchers, if you're a divine masculine, to really just breathe, breathe, breathe as we go into this next beautiful wave of clearing out whatever is not serving our highest, best good, and whatever could be blocking our sacred union, and trusting that the information will arrive for us, as well as how do we attend to any what I call resistance flares or energy blockages or people, place, or thing blockages that are in the way of our coming into physical union. Now, I will recognize that it is not everyone's journey to come into physical union with one particular sacred other. It may be that your sacred union journey is to come into union with your soul group. And in our soul group, we have a couple, and we have individuals. And the energy that the couples run has a different impact on our soul group than the energy, say, of someone like myself in the soul group, who kind of, with my divine masculines, help find us all and get us all together. Different kinds of energy frequencies. And the beauty of being in a soul group is we recognize this, and we recognize we're in conscious co-creation. And in our group, we are mostly divine feminine, and we have one divine masculine with another one hovering, perhaps about to come in. We'll wait to see what happens with that. We have other masculines in our soul group who have functioned as soulmates, but they are not divine counterparts for anyone in our group. They are soulmates who have been part of learning how we make better conscious choices, how we remain empowered, and the difficulties that for thousands and hundreds and thousands of years now that the human being has struggled through with becoming sovereign as a co-creator, a conscious co-creator aligned with source. So those energies came out for the divine feminine. Now, interestingly enough, sometimes people like to look at this. Underneath the Emperor is the Tower. And my feeling was that the Emperor at this point, the divine masculine, is doing tremendous work to support the union. Last week, the divine feminine was supporting him as he more fully opened his heart and fell into a resonance with his own emotional body. This week, the divine masculine is supporting the divine feminine. Source is supporting everybody, but this is a really interesting experience. Just curiously. Next is the Queen of Chalices. She was underneath. So we have the Tower, and it was almost as if the Emperor was saying, listen, if I have to create a Tower moment in this union to get the divine union, physical union happening with those who are on that track, then that's what I'm going to do. So that's kind of cool that the Queen of Chalices is very close by, ready to unite in physical union with the King of Cups. So everybody's up in their feels. Okay. Now, I think I would have probably just really freaked out if I'd kept just taking cards. This was so funny. It just really cracked me up. Because I do not use this deck in the traditional tarot way. And yet here is this more or less traditional tarot that is telling the story of, we have Temperance, which is Judgment, which is about divine intervention. We have the Ace of Pentacles, which is a new beginning. We have the Princess of Wands, which is an empowered feminine who is coming into her own and is ready to come into union within herself. We have the Six of Wands, which is about victory and celebration and recognizing our self-worth and having the support and recognition of our communities in the divine feminine and in the human collective. And we have the Ten of Pentacles, which is about having the resources and being in balance in our inner and outer unions to move forward with our mission work and our conscious co-creation work in the collective. So, I mean, I was just laughing. And then as if that wasn't enough, We got Temperance, which is be patient, hold on, it's coming, right? It's happening. Yeah, I think we could change the language from it's coming to it's happening. It might serve us a little better. And then with the second row, we had the star come out, and it was as if this row was the result, because that was what I had asked. Where is it? Where are we at right now? And that's a kind of a result question, although I've learned in this journey not to really focus on results, but to keep paying attention to process. So here's the star. She was help bringing this all together. It's kind of a reverse engineered reading, which is typical of me. I reverse engineer things all the time. Here's the Knight of Chalices, who became, just a few cards later, the King. Here's the Six of Chalices, which is balanced giving and receiving, which for me feels like what this Knight brought forward with him from the healing of the star was, I'm coming with my cup of love. It may not be full yet, I may not be a king yet, but I'm coming in with a sense of giving and receiving, balanced giving and receiving, so that Divine Feminine, you do not have to fear me as a masculine energy who is going to just seduce you for physical pleasure and steal your starfire. I'm coming to co-create with you, and we're going to be in balanced giving and receiving with each other. There will be a flow of give and take. And then we had the World come out. So that was the next energy that was moving this union energy forward. And as it moved it forward, and the World came out with balance, giving and receiving, and the Divine Masculine arriving with his cup of love, the World allowed him to fill his cup of love as he's coming into his mission. And this is you, Divine Masculine, like, be so excited because here you are. This is a beautiful validation of the work that you've done. And now you're able to come with your cup filled, and it's filled with the World operating in balanced give and take, and you're bringing this in support of the Divine Feminine right now. This is just lovely, 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 lovely. And such a surprise for me. I was really quite delighted. Now, if you are the Divine Feminine, I think you can also know that the Divine Masculine is also, I went to my Fairies Oracle deck, he's recognizing the tremendous scalar nuclear power that when you come together in union, we could use this card to represent that for right now. When you come together in physical union, you are a power couple, and you bring incredible amounts of energy, co-creative energy, to the human collective. And you will be doing your mission work. And the mission work is not just spiritual work. I think it's important for us all to be really clear about that. While we can't come into union without doing this intense spiritual journey, without being on it, once we align all of our subtle energy bodies and our meta being is fully driving this little earth body ship we call me, we have tremendous scalar power to come up with gorgeous co-creative solutions, Divine Feminine and Divine Masculine. So that is, for me, a hallmark of the union. So this, for me, is a sacred union reading for sure. And with the RAR card, which is about nuclear power, and it's neutral nuclear power, so it relies on us as conscious co-creators to use it wisely, to use it with love, to use it constructively, to use it to solve difficulties rather than create new ones. And out with this, in terms of the Divine Masculine, if you're watching as the cross watcher, we have the Master Maker. And this is, you could say this is the equivalent. It's not the equivalent to the Magician card, because the Magician isn't a conscious co-creator. The Magician operates from a place of power over and dominance, unless They've had some really unique training. But the master maker is operating in balance with source and in Gaia and with the elements of air, water, and fire, not from a place of domination, but from a place of inspiration and connection. So these two energies from the masculine energy wave are fully supporting the divine feminine and supporting the union this particular week. Or for the next few days, I don't know exactly how long. I mean, I know the energy changes and then I'll get an impulse to do a reading. Now these also came out. This card also came out when I went to the Fairies Oracle, and this is Iris of the Rainbow. And so while the divine masculine is holding this stationary, powerful, creative pulse, the divine feminine is bringing her energy to that pulse, and they are beginning to pulse together and share the shareable wave together. I have a podcast called The Shareable Wave. They're pulsing together, their frequencies are combining, their energies are amplifying, and this is a beautiful example of what the divine feminine has to look forward to in terms of being able in a way to relax as she picks up her sovereignty and moves on into her sacred mission. So this card came out. Now then next I went to, this also is here for the divine masculine. This is the grounded energy of the wise old soul. This is a beautiful card that acknowledges the wise old souls who are among us today as the divine masculine who is doing his work. I mean, outside he may be 20 years old and he may be a millennial, but inside he's this. Look at the eyes on this guy. It's beautiful. Gentle, tender, powerful, wise, strong, able to go the distance, loyal, committed, and still on a journey of self-discovery. All right, so then, just for fun, because I was just enjoying all of the things that were just showing up in this reading, I went to the Oracle of Mystical Moments just to see what would come out that would validate the rest of the cards. Not that we need this, but it's just kind of a fun thing to do, to feel the ways that the information moves into the energy field. And I find when I'm looking at the cards and doing a reading, it kind of brings an immediate moment of reflection back, and I'm not used to having that. I am used to flowing in energy and being in direct knowing. And so having a little bits of reflections back through the cards is kind of fun. Reflections back and validation. So the first card was transformation. Again, we have transformation twice. Now, we have transformation here. We may actually have it 3 times. And we have the raw energy is an energy of transformation. And so here it comes out again. And this time it's really, here we have the transformation of the inner child. And here we have the transformation of the adult woman. And she's holding this beautiful butterfly of metamorphosis right at her heart chakra. She's grounded. Her root chakra is open and connected. She's graceful and elegant. And she's looking, for me, she's looking directly at Oakman saying, hey, there you are, baby. Love you. Love you, love you, love you. Oh, look, interestingly enough, wow. The the singer of Transfiguration was under the oak man. And under the oak man, oh, Lordy. I'm going to do this. Under the oak man, we have Penelope Dreamweaver. This is so much fun. I'm just going to put these cards down for a minute because this is I have to have this fun. Okay, so the other energies that were sort of stewing in this roar, we're all lining up for sacred union energy, were these additional supportive cards. Here we have the sage. That's too funny. This is crazy. And then we have the singer of courage. And then we have, this is unbelievable. Then we have Las Guna, who's about bringing things into material form in the real world. Oh my goodness, I'm knocked out by this now. This is crazy. Oh, and then we have Fairies of the Future. Oh, and then we have Unity. This is 0 point right here. This is the reset. So we've got all this crazy support coming from the fairy community. The earth elementals are really solidly behind us. This is fabulous. Okay, so now back to the back to the Oracle of Mystical Moments. I really enjoy this deck. So here we have transformation out again. Okay, this card for me as a reader actually represents sacred union. This is the divine masculine and the divine feminine together in their physical union. So we have this out next. And then we have my home is my castle. My home is my castle. And at the same time we had this card come out, because I thought I was only going to take 1 or 2 cards, but I was having so much fun. This card is Long Way Home. And for me, this represents the core of the message that we are getting as we're becoming conscious co-creators. We're doing this on our long journey home, and our long journey home is our journey back to source. And we have the liftoff now. Many people are aware they've made it onto the 5D bridge, and some of us are operational in multiple domains and realities and timelines, and we're quite comfortable, and we're developing our mastery. So here we have long journey home, and isn't that the truth? How many lifetimes? How many expressions? Then comes my home is my castle, and here's again the divine feminine. She's no longer separated from this journey. She is no longer separated from feeling at home in herself, at home in her body, and at home in the mastery of coming into her balance in union. It's a journey of mastery, and that's a bad word. We don't have another word for this yet. Hopefully, sometimes we'll substitute the word mystery, but here she is fully aware and awake, and she's aware and awake in a conscious level, and she's aware of the need for structure in her energy field, and that structure comes from the divine masculine. And you can see that she's held out her hand, and she is receiving this gift of being in balance with her intellectual and mental energies, and she is holding the structure within her that she needs to move forward in her mission and in her union, which allows her to bloom in, this is the card that shows it, I wouldn't use the word allowed, simultaneously, let me say that. She's blooming in her emotional body and connections, and she's feeling stable and strong and able to appreciate when she may be being pulled by the 3D frequencies to come out of union within herself and go into separation. She's more and more able to hold this energy within herself. And when she does this, then she comes into a natural resonance with the elements of co-creation here in the five-dimensional earth realm, which is air, water, earth, fire, and love as the 5th element. And my goodness, doesn't water play an important role in this journey? And here she is. This is the divine feminine calling and guiding through the earth element of water with a big, big energy, and knowing she's gently guiding ships home for people who are waiting for their sacred union ship to come in. And then we have, I feel that what we come to is a beautiful sense. This card for me represents the dragon energy, the primal energy of creation, the energy that creates galaxies, the energy of creating galaxies and worlds and universes that is still in alignment with source and never left that alignment. And when we come into union in this way, and we are here, and we're here, and the divine masculine is lined up with us like this, and we're in alignment, we come into the dragon energy, and it means that our ability to see, to know, to understand, to lightly touch, to engage the full process of conscious co-creation, giving, asking, receiving, sharing, being in gratitude, we are able to be in this and simultaneously observe it and feel it and understand it and know it at its deepest expression within our soul purpose. It's just beautiful. Okay. Yeah, I was a giggly mess after this reading happened. Now, then I just decided, oh, what the heck? I'm going to take 3 cards from the Wisdom Oracle, and the card that came out for the feminine energy here was time to go. Time to go. It's go time. This is beautiful. So we have, in the last interval, and this is on this particular wave, you're on your own wave, you're on your own journey. You may be ahead of what I'm speaking about. It may be coming for you in another interval of time, because time, we are coming to appreciate, is so fluid. But in this transition, we do know that it is time for us to go forward boldly into, we're going to wait for the siren. Sorry about that. Okay, so we're ready to go, and we're ready to go forward with our mission work, and we have the confidence to know that we're going to be doing this. Now, here's the thing. A lot of people are kind of overemphasizing issues of codependency. And it isn't as if codependency and coming out of codependency isn't an important part of the journey. It is. But when we come out of codependency and we recognize that we ourselves have everything we need and want to have fun with and play with and appreciate, because we've come into alignment with Source and with Gaia, we don't have to worry about codependency anymore, because we are being fed and nurtured and sustained energetically in the massive amounts of energy flows that are available to us when our chakra systems transition, and we're allowing the energy to come in, and it's coming in unobstructed, and we're allowing it to move through us. We co-create with it, and it's a flow that has no impedance in it from an electrical engineer's point of view. And as this is happening, we are moving into interdependence. Interdependence. So I see other people in the environment talking about the danger of codependency, and those issues are real. But once we come into a certain amount of inner work and inner shadow work, we no longer have to worry about being codependent. We no longer have to worry that we're going to get paired up with a masculine energy who's going to steal our starfire, or who is going to not be able to stand on his own 2 feet without us. Just as we're no longer going to have to worry about not being able to nurture and sustain ourselves without a physical divine masculine present in our lives. Not all of us have chosen that track. We'll find out. It's possible that we may all connect with an emanation that is a physical version of ourselves energetically in union. If so, that's fantastic. But I really would urge both the divine feminine and the divine masculine, while we're learning to hold the energy of wholeness and being in our soul sovereignty, we don't want to hold fear energy around anything, including being afraid of being codependent, or that will fall back into codependency, or that somehow we're straying back into the area of codependency, when in fact what our energy systems are doing are guiding us gently into interdependence, which is life on the circle, life in wholeness, soul sovereignty, on the circle, connected to source and aligned with Gaia. So the next card that came out, the energy from source, is soulmates. It's like, yep, I have allowed the emanation of your soulmate or your divine counterpart to come to you to help you in this next phase of the journey, and appreciate it, treat them with tenderness, love, and respect. Get quiet when they are teaching you a difficult lesson, if you still have one to learn, and then come back round into that communication with them with love and with understanding and compassion and forgiveness and humility and vulnerability. So this is the energy coming to us from source. And last out was for the divine masculine, this beautiful card, deep knowing. And so as we're coming into union, in the subtle energy body version, where all of our subtle energy bodies have to line up first before we can come into physical union, this card is saying the divine masculine knows. He may not be able to articulate it with words, but if you sit quietly with him and feel his energy, you will know what you need to know. This has been really challenging for me, because in my life experience, the masculine energy has not been an ally. And so I have learned how to use language and my intellectual capacity to hold the grounded, sensual, masculine energy that is aligned with sacred sexuality. I have become accustomed to holding them at bay and not allowing myself to listen fully to all of their energetic communication, because I have still been dealing with the issue of many, many painful lessons around allowing a male energy to take my star fire, bring it into the electric dynamic of the electromagnetic, supposedly to be in balance 50-50, and unconsciously giving the masculine the energy to move his electric charge to 2/3, which is out of balance. And then I would find myself in power dynamics where my masculine was being 2/3 electric, and I was given the tiny small space of being 1/3 magnetic, and we were in a constant power struggle. So this is the part of the union, divine union, that I'm really so excited about, is knowing that it's safe for me to open up again to that sense of I can just get quiet and feel, and I don't have to demand that the divine masculine have the words or have the vocabulary yet. He's learning it so that we can be on the same page. The beauty of the divine union is that we can come onto the same page energetically. And if the divine feminine is just willing to relax and be accepting in a generous way, and allowing the masculine to find his way while she holds space for him to discover himself more in his wholeness, his authenticity, as his sovereign self, he will let us be aware that he has the deep knowing, and we won't reject the deep knowing because it doesn't come in the form of words. So some of you may resonate with that divine feminines, and you may resonate with that cross watcher. If your energy is that of the divine masculine, you'll have a sense of what it is that I'm talking about here. Well, anyway, that was the reading that came out, and it's a kind of a prelude to the transformational energies that are coming along with the eclipse. Yeah, and for some of us, the eclipse, the lunar eclipse may be a tower moment. But if it's a tower moment, we'll get through it. We have the skills. We have done our inner work. We know how to keep ourselves in balance. And my goodness, for those of you who are coming up on the next wave of union, and you're not yet grounded in all of these skills in how to move through your subtle energy bodies and do all of that work, which is another whole lecture. I mean, I have a whole courses and courses and courses about this, and I've been teaching this for years. Do get in touch with me. You could just start with a personal reading, and you might gain enough information to give you some insight about which place you want to focus your energy so that you're feeling more whole within yourself and you're feeling more sovereign and soul sovereignty in your daily life. Okay, so that's it from me, Annie Selves. Thanks again for stopping by the channel. I really appreciate it if you like, and love it if you comment and subscribe. I'm looking forward to the next reading, and it seems now that I'm doing these daily, but I don't know, because I let the energy move me. I literally let the energy move me. So I can say that my process will be, when I finish this reading, I'm not going to do an extended. I will sort the cards again, reshuffle them, and put them away. And that's my usual process. And then I will shuffle them again before I draw the cards. Or sometimes they just fall out, like this entire row, just boom. These cards just fell out in a clump. And I'm learning how to allow that and not get in the way of receiving the information that wants to share itself with me. So again, thanks. That's it. Bye.